It is the 13th of July 2024. A very good afternoon and thank you so much for always watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. Welcome to UBC Lunchtime News. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha. We start off with the Commissioner in charge of Animal Health at Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries that has stressed the need for Intergovernmental Authority on Development countries, and that's IGAD, to comply with the World Organization for Animal Health and World Trade Organization standards in order to increase their meat and livestock exports to Middle East and North Africa. This was at the opening of the 7th Inter-Regional Regulatory Body's Chief Veterinary Officers meeting at IGAD exporting and MENA importing countries in Entebbe, Uganda.
The IGAD Center for Pastoral Areas and Livestock Development, that we all know as IGPAD, working in collaboration with FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, has been organizing such interregional meetings since 2016. And we've heard this is the 7th meeting. The purpose is to strengthen networking among the regulatory bodies in order to nurture confidence, transparency, and trust in meeting compliance, and thereby minimizing export banning and rejections and enhance trade volume. It is therefore an opportunity to discuss outstanding issues and concerns from both regions.
So today we are here discussing and agreeing upon how to meet these standards, and the benefits of meeting the standards is that the traders will easily access the market of the importing countries, and therefore that will increase the volume of livestock, live livestock, like the Middle East, the MENA countries take live animals like sheep and goats for their festive seasons, their religious festivities. They also take carcasses, whole carcasses of small ruminants, that's the sheep and goats. They also take meat or beef of large animals and others. There is a lot of import requirements from the MENA countries. So the more we are able to meet the standards, the standard requirements for health of the animals on the other side, and also safety of the human beings that consume the meat, the better.
One is on the sanitary requirement in improving surveillance. We need to do frequent surveillance to make sure our animal owners area are free of disease. The CBOs and the regulatory bodies also need to support in organizing synchronized vaccination. The importing countries have requirement to vaccine XYZ. Then as per that requirement, the CBOs, the regulatory bodies need to support the animal owners, the traders to vaccinate and to get proper certification in time before as per the requirement and as per the request of the importing countries. So
in more news, a medical camp in Arua City has discovered that urinary tract infections are becoming a big concern in the city alongside malaria. The 3-day camp, organized by Healing Hands Foundation, a local non-government organization based in Arua, and Essential Medical Outreach and Treatment Rescue with support from European Union, is taking place at Oli Health Center 4 in Arua City. According to the medics, the first 3 hours of the test on Friday showed malaria and urinary tract infections leading. Medics have also called upon people to be vigilant about the urinary tract infections.
We're seeing all sorts of conditions, and the treatment is free. Laboratory services, the treatment, immunization, all those services are done free of charge. So you will see there are about 18 doctors here from USA and Europe, but European Union took care of the experts. These doctors came all the way. Their visa, accommodation and transport is handled by the European Union. Malaria is leading as expected. Upper respiratory tract infections, urinary tract infections. Then there are some few cases of hypertension, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. There are some skin diseases. I've seen a case of cancer somewhere there.
The most common here, I would say, is malaria. And for malaria, it's very important to react quite quickly. The prophylaxis is very, very efficient, but we have to, it's very important to test people if they have the symptoms. Here we are in Arua town, but in rural areas it's even more. We have also a lot of urinary tract infections and things related to sexual transmitted diseases. Yes, that's also why, so I'm a health education teacher. We raise awareness on STDs, we introduce family planning methods.
With the prevailing poverty, so many people are sick but they're not accessing services.
Now, residents of Kampala and metropolitan areas, especially those living and working in places affected by recent floods, have called on Kampala Capital City Authority to improve the drainage systems to avert the consistent flooding that puts human life at risk.
On Wednesday this week, heavy downpour across the country left many Ugandans in a bizarre mood, with many losing property. However, it was a worse situation along Entebbe and Natete access roads that link to the city centre, especially in areas of Namasuba, Kakajo, Stella and Nakauka, among other places. UBC revisited some of the places affected by the heavy downpour in Namasuba along Entebbe Road, only to find the drainage systems still filled with stagnant water. In Rufuka village, particularly at Batabata area, residents had this to say.
Amazzi gano nakagalabako emirundi esatu. Ogwasooka gwaliwo 99 ne minisita wa wakisi yajjako wano mwami Nasaasira n'alaba ekyaliwo era kyekyavibwako oluguudo luno okuluddamu balukole nga lulina leeni nnya. Emyaka egiseeko emabegaawo gye sijajjukira ng'ena oba 5 nga tetunagenda mu covid, era Pulezidenti Museveni n'ajjako wano ku ssomero lino lwano nnyini Landmark nga gasaze ekkubo era yagabawo ne ku bintu ebikozesebwa ng'ebidomola, emifaliso ne
Hajisaka Mwesi, a long-time resident of Ndeje village, attributes the flooding to construction works in other places.
Amazzi gabadde mangi nnyo naye ng'ensonga eyagaviiriddeko bakola oluguudo lw'ebunnamwayo eri waggulu. Kati bagenda ne bakola amazzi ago gonna ne bagabeera nga bagakoze gagenda kujja eno wansi mu lufuka. Trenches ze bagezaako okukola zonna gajja mu lufuka okuva ku Zana round about n'emyala okutwaliza ewamu mifu nnyo.
Gano gaviiridde ddala na Lukolongo ne gajja begate paka ku Lwentebe Omega Healing Center.
Various businesses were severely affected by the Wednesday floods.
Enkuba yatonnya nemala essaawa nga 3 ng'etonnya n'eddamu kakana ng'abantu babonyebonye amazzi gabayingiridde mu mayumba gaabwe nga bayingiridde mu bizinesi zaabwe.
Residents want hesitant to mention the poor drainage channels and poor planning as fundamental aspects to the flooding.
Emifulege gyonna gyazibikira tebakyagikola ate n'egimu gikaddiye. kati onoolabanga amazzi obugazze ne gajjula agamu ne galema kutambula bulungi kakana nga gali mu mayumba g'abantu n'obubizinesi z'abantu nazo nizonooneka.
A box culvert, they just put culverts instead of building a box culvert, because this drainage carries water from Kampala to Lake Victoria, and you can see this area is the under low-lying area. So it is a catchment area for the water from Kampala and from this area of Masajja Machi in the Sabagabo. So I just and then there are issue. There is no physical planning in this area. It has affected this drainage, whereby people, they have constructed houses on it. People have constructed hotels, building. As you can see, now it is very narrow. The drainage is very narrow. It can't carry this amount of water to Lake Victoria. So that's the reason why this area always floods, and sometimes people lost their properties and even losing lives.
In Natete Muslim High School along Nakauka was greatly hit by the rains, prompting the school management to close business. The school is also in double jeopardy as it stands to be demolished following NEMA's marking in its restoration exercise. Even when the school management had earlier on promised to speak to us, our attempts to reach them were futile as they didn't respond to our calls for comment.
The subscriber you have called does not answer. Please try again later. The subscriber you have called does not answer. Please try again later.
Following the recent experience, Kampala Capital City Authority has promised to improve the road and drainage systems.
Flooding in the city has been a big problem, and I want to assure the public that as a city administration, we have planned in 2016-2017, KCCA developed what is called the Kampala Drainage Master Plan. This was funded by the World Bank.
The acting publicist at KCCA, Daniel Niwe Abine, links human encroachment on wetlands to the sabotage of water flow in the city.
The exercise that is going on to remove people who have encroached on wetlands, but we are also desilting most of the channels.
Dumping of garbage is another threat to the drainage systems.
Regarding drainage, of course, I would encourage the public. Where you see flooding, it's not entirely as a result of KC failing to do its work. It's out of bad waste disposal practices by the public. Where garbage is disposed in the drainage channels, in the wetlands, it creates additional tasks for the authority. We don't have unlimited funds to pay for bad behavior.
Kampala Capital City Authority has committed to using box culverts to replace the old-fashioned drainage systems.
N'emyala okutwaliza ewamu mifunyo, emyala gye baazimba gy'ebigoma bino byaffe biyita wansi, eyo sisitimu nfu tekyakola wano. Getaaga emyala emizimbe obuzimbi egitali gya bikalavati.
If you go to Clock Tower, where the former Clock Tower was on Entebbe Road, at the Usafi market, we are putting up a box culvert. That box culvert is to widen the flow, to allow a wider flow of water and to accommodate more runoff. If you go to the Nakchivubo channel, we are desilting it. If you go to Bugolobi and all these places where we are working, you will see that drainages are being worked upon.
I'm Ivan Juko for UBC.
Thank you so much, Ivan Juko, for that story on the drainage system in Kampala and what happens when the rain gets to fall. Now, in more stories, government workers have been challenged to embrace continuous career development and training in this era of technology and development in order to improve service delivery in the public sector. This was echoed by retired education officer, Kampala Capital City Authority, Charles Peter Omoria.
The Scouts Association of Uganda has embarked on boundary opening and surveying of Kazi land to ascertain the remaining acreage following encroachment on the land by some developers.
We have moved along with our surveyor and some of our neighbors were present.
During the boundary opening, the association established that part of the portion that was unscrupulously sold off has been encroached on by some developers.
Northern part, we have one, Mr. Omar, who has started construction, and part of it is already in wetland, part of it he has encroached on our land. Then in the southern part, with Mr. Makumbi, we are in agreement that the surveyors come out with the exact measurements, and we see.
Some of the encroachers, according to the association, are a group only identified as Rastafarians or Rovers, which is now growing marijuana on some part of the land.
There's serious abuse there. We have the Rastas. I don't know these Rastas, where they come from. They've even planted there marijuana. You can imagine, on Scout land.
Charles Odororiem, the chairperson, National Council of Uganda Scouts Association, says part of the land was sold off through connivance with some of the past association leaders.
It's our colleagues who were in office that time, quietly during COVID time, and without our knowledge, without permission from the National Scout Council.
After conducting the independent survey of the land, the association is now moving to conduct a joint survey with some of the people who bought the land, including one Umar Sekate, with whom they have previously battled. The association has faulted NEMA for remaining silent over the matter and have vowed to seek all possible legal solutions to recover and protect the land in question.
One of NEMA must come and pronounce it very clearly. Why they allow such to happen? We shall go along to seek legal procedures and civil ways, not through violent ways, to reclaim this land, not for us, for the children.
The new association leadership assumed the office early this year and has been trying to engage all conflicting parties to resolve the land issue and recover some pieces that they say were sold off during COVID time. Kazi was given to the National Council of Uganda Scouts Association by Kabakachwa of Buganda. It has been harboring different species of trees, birds and monkeys for tourist attraction, which are now in extinction. Susan Naonga reporting for Ubc TV.
Amanya gange nze Namtebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde nze mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyenyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere weewaawo abafere gye bali naye ennamba eriemu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanya eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo mwebale nnyo mwebalire.
Together we're unstoppable. Faith, love, miracles! Did you miss the recent Sifan Crusades? Don't worry! Christ for All Nations bring you 7 crusades closer to you. Powerful divine deliverance from bondages, yokes and curses. Salvation of souls, family restorations and miraculous healings. Don't miss Kampala Nubaka District, Tororo, Pabo, Kaliro, Masindi, Soroti and Bidibidi Refugee Camp Crusades from June 24th to July 15th, 2024. Come and receive your miracle!
predict the outcome of 10 football games and win big with tickets at only 500 shillings. Play for this Monday's draw to stand a chance to win big with Sports Take 10.
Buy your tickets at authorized shops on nationallottery.go.ug to download the app or simply dial *278#.
Ugandan National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Lunchtime news, and in our business stories, Vivo Energy Uganda held a journalist immersion event at the head office of the tank firm in Namuwongo. This was to take the media through the quality processes their fuel undergoes before going onto the market.
Vivo Energy Uganda stepped up to provide the public through the rigorous process they undergo before their fuel hits the market. The Uganda National Oil Company has systems in place to regulate the quality of fuel imported in the country before oil marketing companies receive it. Vivo Energy's Quality Lab in Namuwongo is where they test fuel to ensure it is of good quality even before UNBS double-checks their fuel.
Vivo Energy Uganda we do what we call internal monitoring, self-monitoring. You've seen the UNBS go around the country checking different fuel stations and all of that, but before UNBS comes to us, we make sure that we are checking ourselves. And so this laboratory that you're in right now is the first ever laboratory to be accredited in the ISO 17025 of 2017. Of course, we were the only ones accredited in the country for some time. That's why we are accredited by a body that's not really in Uganda, because there was no capacity in Uganda to do that. But right now, other organizations have come on board because they realize the benefits of that accreditation.
Nalubega Diana emphasized that the DNA of fuel is what is known as the flash point, in which fuel is quantified and measured in instances to avoid contamination, citing examples of petrol and diesel, respectively.
Nobody in their rightful mind would contaminate, for example, diesel with petrol. Why? Because petrol is expensive. You're losing money if you do that. So usually what will happen is you contaminate it maybe with a cheaper product. And that's what UNBS is always doing. That product being usually kerosene.
Uganda imports its own oil through Chipevu Oil Terminal 2 and the Kenyan Pipeline Corporation infrastructure from Mombasa to Kampala. The move targets to lower pump prices below the current rates offered by dealers in Kenya. Mashomira Victor, UBC News.
Government workers have been challenged to embrace continuous career development and training in this era of technology development in order to improve service delivery in the public sector. This was echoed by a retired education officer, Kampala Capital City Authority Charles Peter Omuria. Take a look.
The use of technology in the field of work is developing at a very fast rate, a fact that requires continuous training and orientation on the side of employees in order to better service delivery. It is against this background that the retired education officer at Kampala Capital City Authority, Charles Peter Omuria, advised employees to embrace on-job training. Charles Peter Omuria and his colleague Gertrude Nakanabi were bidding farewell to their colleagues from KCCA after reaching the retirement age of 60 years.
60. Congratulations.
We have to be passionate. There are also competences needed, because if you don't have the competences, you'll not be able to deliver. So one must have the competences and must have experience. There is also teamwork, where people work as a team, they achieve together. where there's no teamwork, where people are divided, where people are fighting, they will not be able to deliver the mandate what they have been asked to deliver.
To be punctual at work, to do your tasks on time, and to be friendly to the clients you work with, not being harsh to them.
Gertrude Nakanabi, however, advised especially mothers to spare time for their parenting role and nurture the children to be responsible citizens.
When we go home, we talk to the children and say we need to do our work and look at the future, so that you don't look at today, but you know, when I grow up, I have to be a woman, I have to be a man in the home. So you work towards that.
The two officers, Gertrude Nakanabi and Charles Peter Omuria, also advised employees to prepare for their retirement early enough.
Praise the
From the international desk, Rwandans will decide on July 15th whether to grant a fourth term to President Paul Kagame, the country's ruler since 2000. The National Electoral Commission received 9 applications but cleared only 3, excluding one of Kagame's fiercest critic.
3 candidates are vying for the presidency in Rwanda, where incumbent President Paul Kagame has won every election since 2000. In a recent campaign rally, Kagame told supporters a lot has been done, but more is possible if they choose him again.
There are roads, electricity, and many other infrastructures that we have achieved, but we still want to achieve more. We will do that with your help, starting with the elections we have on July 15th.
The 66-year-old Rwanda Patriotic Front leader is expected to win these elections once again. One of the reasons, say analysts, is the way he's been able to guide the East African country since the 1994 genocide, when an estimated 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus were killed by Hutu extremists.
The first one, which is coming and coming again, is about security and stability. The language and practice and success around stabilization and security, mainly internal politics, I think it is joining the expectation and aspiration of many Rwandans after this tragic and historical background.
But Democratic Green Party candidate Frank Habineza, who ran against Kagame in 2017, is in the race again this year because he says the incumbent president has stayed around way too long. He told VOA he successfully campaigned in 24 out of the 30 districts so far, including this one in Gicumbi, and voters have been more enthusiastic this time around.
I'm giving them hope that at least after the 30 years, we need something different. We need to see a different way of living, a different political program, a different thinking, a different vision. We are not going to destroy the good things that have been done, but we want to give them a better hope, a better future.
As for independent candidate Philip Mpaimana, a journalist turned politician, he too respects how far the country has come, but wants to be considered as someone who can move it forward. This is also his second bid for the top job. He says his manifesto is covered in 50 articles with innovative ideas and initiatives. Other candidates were barred from this race by the National Electoral Commission for various reasons. One was the president's fiercest critics, Diane Ruigara, who was once again barred on the grounds that she had failed to provide a criminal record statement and had not met the minimum number of supporters' signatures. Ruigara expressed her disappointment on the X social media platform, where she told Kagame, "This is the second time you cheat me out of my right to campaign. Why won't you let me run?" Critics and rights groups have long accused President Kagame of silencing voices of the opposition and creating a climate of fear, which discourages dissent in general. On the streets of Kigali, while support for Kagame remains strong from some, others say they'd like to see issues such as joblessness addressed.
You see the progress this country has achieved by the leader who's in charge. We wish that whoever is elected should not destroy what has been achieved, but to continue it.
The youth make up most Rwandans. We want the person who will be elected to set up projects that help the youth get jobs, because most of them are completely unemployed.
According to the World Bank, the unemployment rate in Rwanda was 14.9% in 2023, while the group lauded the resiliency of the country's economy with a 7.6 growth rate. It also said that public debt had increased significantly in recent years. Mariama Diallo, VOA News, Kigali in Rwanda.
And that's all we had for you this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely afternoon. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha. Bye-bye.
Inspiring Uganda.